The Hurt Syndicate are the merchants of misery. Meanwhile, Tony Khan is the booker of incompetency. I'm John Renton with my review of AEW Dynamite Thanksgiving Eve, and I hope you all have a terrific Thanksgiving. Whether you're spending time with a bunch of family members, spending time with a bunch of friends, and friends can be family, you don't need blood to be family, or you're just spending time with your significant other. And make sure that you don't stuff those turkeys so goddamn full, because, you know, I've stuffed a few women like turkeys in my time, and I ended up with way more cranberry sauce than I planned. So, nevertheless, I hope you all do have a terrific Thanksgiving. Whatever you eat, whatever you drink, just do it in moderation, have fun, share laughs, share memories, and enjoy the holiday. I'm going to say right now that there were things on the show that weren't too bad, but really, AEW is just getting hard to watch on a week-to-week basis. I mean, you have to laugh at some of the stuff, but even some of the stuff that you used to laugh at, or at least I used to laugh at, it's now just groan-inducing. Now, they are starring their Not G1, the Continental Classic, where you have the Blue League and the Gold League, not A block and B block. There's one friend that will appreciate that, and he knows who he is. So, they were in the Wintrusteeeeeeeee in Chicago, Illinois, 10,000 seat capacity, and they had about 4,500 people, according to WrestleTix. I don't remember when New Japan of America ran a show. I think it was Windy City Riot, but they drew more people than that. So, Full Gear Fallout. Check out my review of Full Gear if you would like. And we have Shelton Benjamin and the Hurt Syndicate coming down to the ring. We're about to get Shelton and Mark Briscoe in a bit, but first, MVP gets a big pop. The Hurt Syndicate look like stars. The fact that their combined age is pretty much almost 150 between the three of them, and they're still really over. MVP's a hell of a mouthpiece, is still in great shape, can go if he wants to. Lashley looks like $1 million. Shelton looks like $1 million. Tony Khan is wasting millions of dollars, and on a few talents I'm going to mention here. So he puts over Lashley and Shelton, compares them to Walter Payton and Michael Jordan, and basically pitches to a recap of Lashley dominating Swerve at Full Gear. They cut out the parts where Swerve got in way more offense than I thought, but nevertheless. So, basically they want money, they want titles. Money is for nothing, and the titles aren't for free. The Merchants of Misery. I felt like, somebody should have gotten the treatment that Kathy Bates gave to James Caan in Misery. And I can think of a few people that aren't on this show that deserve that treatment. That being said, so we have Shelton and Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe actually makes his way to ringside and stares down Lashley. Oh my. I wouldn't actually mind seeing that match at some point. Because Briscoe could bounce off of Lashley and Lashley could toss him around and it would be professional. It'd be well worked. So, anyway, there's no seconds at ringside. They're in the Continental Classic. 20-minute time limit. 3 points for a win and 1 point for a draw. Now, okay, they have Ring of Honor history here, but I want to break down something that Excalibur tried to say and said it miserably, because Excalibur is unraveling. Basically, the idea is, okay, the Blue League winner and the Gold League winner will face off in the semifinals, but they won't face off against each other. No. The Blue League winner will face the Gold League runner-up, and then the Gold League runner-up, or the Gold League winner, rather, will face the Blue League runner-up. They're overcomplicating the shit like they have been doing with the G1 and doing this, whatever. Did they do that last year? I'm genuinely trying to remember. Like, I really can't remember if they did that. And I know Okada is the champion going into this, hoping to defend his title properly. At this point, I don't know who the fuck's going to beat him. I don't know if it matters. It's one of like 18 million championships in this company. But let me just say, the biggest, before I get into this match, this is something I'm going to say here. I'm not going to bring it up that much in the rest of the reviews. I don't know if I'm going to review Collision and Rampage this Saturday because I'm working, and then we got Survivor Series War Games, and I try to review the big events for both companies. But here's what they could have done to build up this Continental Classic. Yes, there was some good action last year, and the G1 style round robin tournament thing, they certainly did it better than WCW did for the Future Shocker tournament that they did for Starrcade 89. But here's what you do. Okay, you're going to have a Continental Classic every single year. What you start is, even if it's in September, because you don't start this till after Full Gear, in September, you can start it right after All Out. Start making a concerted effort to feature people properly. Cut down on some matches so they're not going 15 minutes every single television taping. Whether Dynamite, whether Rampage, whether Collision, you figure out, say at least 8 of the 12 people you want to use, because it's 6 per block. Okay, 8 of the 12 people, have them locked in. Have them locked in before All In. And just decide, okay, we'll have the Continental Champion, we'll have this happen, we'll build around that. We'll take people that we want to build up, or people that are good workers that can have good matches that we want to try to elevate or use to elevate other people, and you start building them up. You start giving them, maybe 5-6 minute matches on television. And then maybe after Wrestle Dream, you do some qualifiers. You do something where it's like, okay, this person's in the blue league, this person's in the gold league. And you build it up over, say, 5 weeks. And then maybe at Full Gear, you have like a last chance match, like a 4-way match, which I know, yes, they do multi-man matches, and they do a lot of that stuff, but you build something up where it's like, okay, it's a last chance match. 2 last chance matches even. One gets in the blue league, one gets in the gold league, and you build it, and maybe then you have an underdog story for both leagues. Or you could just throw people out like Khan has been doing. He threw them out last year. There are a few people that you could utilize properly, but it's just matches for the sake of having matches, which isn't a bad thing, except taking a look at this tournament field. Do you buy that half of these people are going to end up meaning anything? Because Tony Khan can't fucking book. All that stuff I laid out, tell me that isn't a better way of doing things than whatever the fuck Tony Khan's doing. It's as much fantasy booking and fan booking as he does. So nevertheless, there was a belly-to-belly outside by Shelton. Shelton dominates for a bit. The strikes actually looked like they worked because, Mark Briscoe and Shelton are pros. There was a froggy bow, but, but Briscoe hurt his ribs. Shelton rolls to the outside. We get the bang-bang, the cactus-style elbow. So good, we got that. We got another froggy bow, but oh no, got the knees up. A couple released Germans that were brutal. I have no idea how Mark Briscoe can take that shit, given the amount of years he's put into wrestling. We get some kicks just for 2, which was a little bit weird. We get that one thrust kick, and then we get an exploder into a power slam. 1, 2, 3, and there we are. Shelton gets the victory. Mark Briscoe's pretty much just the guy that's just going to be bouncing around for people and might get 6 points. He might win 2 matches in this whole thing. He's not going to win the damn thing. I'd be amazed if he did. Him against Okada would be interesting, but nevertheless. So we have upcoming events. They plug that stuff. Good. Do more of that shit and actually promote your stuff, and you might get maybe another 1,000 people in these buildings, and apparently they're going to start running smaller buildings in 2025. Good. Even though Khan's dad and Tony Khan really don't have to make a profit, the television deal is going to help them, but running smaller buildings with a hotter crowd will help, and then you can do the occasional promotion for like a winter is coming. Have it in a bigger building. Do like month specials on Dynamite where you do something and you put it in a bigger building and then just do that. Tour Ring of Honor in a small thing, kind of like what you did in Arlington, and maybe do the same for Collision, because apparently they're getting rid of Rampage at the end of the year. So anyway, Shelton has 3 points, Briscoe has none. Shivani brings up Mercedes for a celebration, which turns into Mercedes basically berating Camille and fires her, but then Camille says, "You can't fire me, I quit." Mercedes, go to fucking Hollywood. Just go to fucking Hollywood. Do your bad acting, your bad line reading, and your fake emotions there. I will say, Mercedes and Statlander had a great match at Full Gear. And I will give her credit when credit is due. But the thing is, there are brief flashes of what she is capable of doing. Otherwise, she may be dressed to the 9s, and she has a personality of 7 of 9. 7 of 9, by the way, is a character that only Star Trek fans will get. And you know what? I think the Borg had more personality and more emotion and more ability to actually read dialogue properly than Mercedes. go to Hollywood because you aren't cutting it here. You just fucking aren't. The more she cuts promos, the less I want to see her. When she has matches like she did against Statlander or Vakor, or even a couple of her television matches rather haven't been all that bad. She has been a titanic waste of money, and it has not worked. It's worked for her bank account. It hasn't worked for the women's division. She has not elevated anybody. And Camille, I don't know if this is a way to rebuild her. I don't know if she's legit injured. If this is a way just for her to maybe be released from her contract and go to NXT, she can't be used any worse there. They need to just not have her on this goddamn program for a couple months and then bring her back, have her demolish Mercedes in like 5 minutes on television and call it good. Recaps of the AJ boom, or the big boom AJ stuff. Apparently he actually did hurt his foot or broke his foot. You know what? Credit to him for powering through. I couldn't power through the next match though. Jericho and Nishi. Can't unhear it, no matter how hard I try. Ring of Honor title match. Big Bill and Brian Keith were on commentary. I'm just going to call it right now that Brian Keith is one of the biggest wastes of space on this goddamn program. Not that he's bad, but it's just, he's damaged goods at this point. He doesn't mean anything. Everybody that gets involved with Jericho gets dragged down. This was dog shit. The chops, the strikes, none of it was believable. And Jericho won, so let's just move on. Swerve and Nana are talking, and it's time to rebuild. And then Max Caster decides to piss somebody off backstage, because it's the day that ends in Y. And he tries to spit some bars, and mentions like a house fire, and then Swerve beats him up. Now, I'm not saying he laid this shit in, but let's be honest, Caster could stand to be beaten about the head and face constantly until he quits. Because Caster has honestly drugged down Anthony Bowens. Like, look, they were over 2 years ago. And they were over even maybe a year ago. People like Bowens, they don't like Caster. And it's not like, oh, Caster's turning heel and they're going to do this split. Caster's not beneficial to this program. He's just fucking not. And I think Khan needs to realize that. He thinks he's really goddamn good. He's in his mid-30s, I think, by this point. I think he's about 33, 34. And he better hope that Tony Khan wants to keep him around, because WWE, they might take a look at him and they might say, yeah, sure, we'll bring you on a lower tier and have you lose on NXT. This is pretty much it for him. He ain't going to be able to command much of a goddamn price on the goddamn indies, because what indies are going to want to fucking bring in somebody toxic like that? Anthony Bowens is somebody you could use properly. Wide open and gay, nothing wrong with that. You got a problem with people being gay, you got a fucking problem with humanity. But Bowens could be a big single star. He's believable. Caster's isn't. Caster is just a douche, and not even a fun douche. Not even a fun douche, where if you burst it and everything, you could, like, have, like, the smell won't stick around forever. Caster smells worse than douche. So, Shivani then brings out Hangman, who snarls and screams and says, Christian, you didn't hold up your end of the bargain. Basically, Christian was going to win the title and Hangman was going to get the first shot. I assume we never got to that point. Then he says nobody will stand in his way of becoming the AEW Men's World Champion. I'm glad he clarified, because I was a bit confused and thinking he was going to go after Mariah May. And honestly, I'd take Mariah May in that fight. But then here's Jay White. Oh, I've beaten you twice, and I'll beat you again. And I know to God they're going to do a multiple-man match at World's End, and Christian's name got bantered around. So that'll probably happen, because they could have done Darby versus Mox at World's End and brought an end to this fucking horseshit. But no, we're going to do that, and we're going to have Darby in the Continental Classic. And then here's Pac and Yuta. Yuta, the goddamn most useless fucking talent they have that they keep trying to push. They have plenty more useless talents on that goddamn, roster, but they keep trying with him, and I don't care if he can do the moves. I don't fucking care. He's not believable. And then Marina hits Hangman in the face with the case and tries to hit Jay White, and Jay White got a massive pop when he was about to hit the freaking Blade Runner on Marina. And then Mox comes in with a choke. My God, this is terrible. Every bit of any segment, any match, any promo that Moxley gets involved in is death. It's fucking walking death. This whole, I don't care if they explain any of this. Like, oh, he's trying to make AEW better. He's trying to bring these people up so they're not just resting on their fat paychecks or their fat contracts and earning their paychecks and not putting in the effort. Hey, Mox, why don't you fucking talk to your goddamn boss that wants to employ a bunch of idiots and also wants to make people EVPs that aren't talented enough to do that? Why don't you maybe talk to Tony? And why don't you maybe stop trying to feature Wheeler? Marina, this is the best use for her because she doesn't have to fucking talk. Claudio is talented, but Claudio hasn't meant shit for a while. I don't think he's meant shit since he feuded with Eddie Kingston, which was a while ago, by the way. And none of this is good. Pac was there. Pac can come and go, and look, the guy looks great, but all this stuff with Mox's group is bad. And then Ricochet and Claudio had a match. It was like, it was flippy guy against agile but stronger guy. And referee Rick Knox, Claudio had to work around Ricochet's style. And they met at PWG in 2010. Well, oh boy, oh joy, for the 500 people there in that little rec center, that's great. I've never been to a PWG show. I've seen a few things, you know what, they had athletic work, but it was what the Bucks cultivated, and really it was just all friends wrestling before Tony Khan decided to fund this thing. There was a dive to a pop, an uppercut, and a stomp, a sharpshooter. We got a lot of counters. We got a barricade bump. Ricochet got crotched on that, and then suddenly he got back in just before the 10 count. That should have been about a 50 count, but referees aren't allowed to count very fast. And Claudio hits a lariat that he could have hit a lot harder, or Ricochet could have taken a good bump or whatever, but it's like, just hit the paper. Anyway, so yeah, doesn't even break a piece of paper, doesn't even break a piece of rice paper. 1, 2, 3. And it's similar to how he beat Darby. I mean, I'm not against Claudio getting victories, but nevertheless, Renee is with Kyle and Don Callis. At least there's a witness there in case Don Callis gets touchy-feely, allegedly. They're just getting started. And Kyle, don't talk. Just do not talk. And then here's Simpson Cole along with Taven and Bennett. And Cole is so sick of this whole thing with Matt. I am too. I am sick of this whole damn thing. The Bro Chachos thing was fine. At first, the thing with the devil, okay. Even if Cole hadn't been injured, it was going to be a Titanic disaster. And it turned out worse than the Black Scorpion. It's turned out a lot worse. He calls MJF a little bitch. Here's O'Reilly. And let me fight Max. No, I need to be the one to fight Max. It's the same thing. It's the same thing as last week. I don't want my friends getting hurt. And then MJF's playing a piano and says, well, I'm not going to want to challenge you guys. I don't want to face you. I want to be in the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal. And win it again, probably. Or somebody else will win it. I mean, I don't really care at this point. It was neat at first, and it's not neat anymore. But Cole and O'Reilly are going to be in there. And then Wrestle Dynasty is going to feature the Wrestle Dynasty International Women's Cup. It's like New Japan's Forbidden Door. Because AEW, Ring of Honor, Stardom, and I think it's CMLL. I want you to think about those first two companies, though. AEW and Ring of Honor, which are the same promotion. Because they're owned by the same goddamn guy. It's just significantly more people watch the first one. So, basically the idea is there's going to be 4 in each bracket. The winner of each bracket takes on advances to Wrestle Dynasty, which is the day after Wrestle Kingdom. So that means there's going to be 4 women, 1 cup. You're welcome. So Hayter and Queen Aminata in a cup qualifier. Look, the crowd tried to get into it, and bless Amanada, she did hit a nice leg strike in the ropes, and she tried, and they say she's been wrestling for 7 years. I don't know how long Hayter's been wrestling. There were moments that worked, and then there were moments where I'm like, well, that was awkward and weird, and the exchanges got... It broke down. It really did break down. And she eventually hit a variation of the Haterade 1, 2, 3. There you are. Then the lights out. Oh my God, Julia's attacking her. Julia's taking control of the production truck. Renee is then with Mina Shirakawa, who, good God, what was she not wearing? It's like she was gift wrapped. I mean, seriously, it was like a giant bow. I'm not even trying to be disrespectful. She looked great. And she's talking about, oh, I saw it coming. Mariah turns on everybody. She can't let anybody get, close to her. But if this is the real Mariah, and I'm going to show who the real Mina is. And then Mariah hits her in the back of the head with some kind of bottle or glass or something. And then is breathing really heavy, just pulling her hair and dominating her, unless that was that dream I had. And saying, I want the real Mina. And then they said, well, fortunately, Mina Shirakawa got cleared after getting a bottle broken over her head. And in 2 weeks, it is going to be Mariah May against Mina Shirakawa for the AEW Women's World Championship. Winter is coming. Conveniently, so are the fans. And then we have Brody and Darby, where Darby gets tossed around a whole bunch, and it's a Gold League thing. By the way, the Gold League also was for Claudio and Ricochet, but nevertheless, David versus Goliath. It wasn't as good as a Wrestle Dream match. They didn't have as much of an overrun. I think it's because they had college sports coming on. And Darby's banged up after Full Gear because he stupidly ran this car into the goddamn truck because Darby has a death wish. I wish I was dead. Oi. And he dominates him for a bit. Brody at one point does a cannonball into a barricade during the break, which knocks out the commentary feed for a bit, and it was the best 2 minutes on AEW television in forever. Because Excalibur can't do shit. I like Shivani, but Shivani adds nothing, and Nigel is just a nuisance. Give us an audio track option without commentary, even if I got to pay an extra $5 a goddamn month. I'll do it. If Max gives that option, I will pay an extra $5 to $10 a month to not have to listen to this abysmal commentary. Coffin dropped to the floor, sleeper hold, but Darby gets his fingers in it. Ow! It's like, ow, my eyes are not supposed to get twink fingers in it. And then a Gonzo Bomb wins it, 1, 2, 3. And then Brody goes to leave. Claudio shows up with a chair because Darby hit them in the truck, or tried to. And then Brody's like, no, you will not do that. And then the crowd's barking, and it's going to be Claudio and Brody next week, which that ought to be interesting. Okay, so I don't know if I'm going to review Collision because it just depends on time. I wouldn't mind talking about the tournament matches, but they're taping Collision, and I don't know if the interest is there. If the interest is there, I'll review it, but nevertheless, once December's done, guys, any Dynamite reviews I do will probably be up Thursday morning, afternoon, because it is getting to the point where it's not worth staying up after I'm off work. To give you an idea, I open 3 days a week, Saturday through Monday. I close Tuesday, I close Wednesday. So by the end of Wednesday, I'm kind of tired. So if I don't stay up to review Dynamite and review it hours later, I apologize. That being said, reviews will be on the shorter side in December. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rethlin. I'll see you soon.